That was yesterday. Faustino Oro, just 10 years old, the youngest international master ever, whooping Hikaru Nakamura, world number 2, online blitz beast, and that was July 3rd, Arena Kings. Fast forward to July 5, and unbelievably, it happened again. Faustino playing white here, they paired in just a casual blitz game. Watch what happens here. This is mind-blowing. The kid's 10 years old. He starts with knight f3, and Hikaru once again builds the banana hammock, plays the modern defense. We get e4, the bishop slides onto the chocolate slide, d4 now, Oro shouts on guard, and pawn to c ships from Hikaru. Same structure, same opening, but here we don't get knight c3. Instead, c3. That is one blunted sniper. Hikaru goes d5 for the high five, and how many of us are going pawn e5 here? But I love this. Oro doesn't do it. He goes bishop to d3. That's why he's 30-37. We're all stuck at 28-50, right? And he's saying, aha, take on me. But is this kid just going to be a one-hit wonder or the real deal? Next Magnus, maybe. Hikaru goes bishop g4 here. Does it with a whoosh. He got it in just in time before pawn h3. We see castles and knight f6. Hikaru goading. Come at me, bro. Oro says okay, thrusts forward with pawn to e5, and this is so ugly. Knight f to d7. You're in my parking space, yo. That knight on b8 wants to develop to the square. Ugly position for Hikaru. h3 played, and of course what do? You capture the knight. That bishop rapidly running out of squares, especially after pawn e6. Can Hikaru complete a full complement of pawns on light squares? Stay tuned. Now this next move is just absolutely classy. The move played is queen e2. Looks so simple, right? But this is the sign of a man or a boy who knows what squares the pieces belong on. I'll show you why it's so beautiful, right? Because after c5, very natural move, we now get bishop e3 supporting the center. Knight c6, what could be more natural? It's like beef and jerky. And now after knight d2, we get a liquidation in the center, pawn recaptures here, and queen b6. And with the b2 pawn under fire, guess what? That queen on e2, sitting nice and pretty, covering Betty the b pawn with knight f3. There's this absolute flow and harmony about Faustino's play. He's always keeping up on the clock as well. We get castles now played by Hikaru. Rook ac1, wonderfully simple chess. Rook ac8 played in response. Rook fd1, just centralizing the pieces. Hikaru goes a6. All the pawns on light squares now. Unlocks himself dinner for two with Danny Wrench. What a guy. And now where do you go from here? What's the plan for white? You've made all the logical moves. Well, of course, Faustino knows how to turn. He pushes forward with pawn to h4, looking to soften Hikaru's underbelly here. This is where his snipers are pointed. Very logical that he plays there, plus his knights over here and queen. Hikaru shuts it down with h5, still maintaining his light squared pawn structure. Loves it. And now how about this for a tidy move? Bishop to b1. That's like coming home from a long day at work and running the Hoover round. Nice and tidy. We all love to do it. This is the scene up and down Britain these days. And now we get knight e7 on the board. Those cannons eyeballing each other. Ships across the sea. Will we see an exchange? The knight headed for f5. But Faustino pounces first. He forays forth with knight to g5. And now I'm drawing on the board here the top moves for black, but none of them played. Hikaru not impressing the Silicon Overlord. He goes knight f5. Such a natural idea, but actually a mistake in this position. Yes, it's looming over the ramparts, but how should white play? Of course, Faustino finds it. He plays bishop takes on f5, and it's uncomfortable because if this pawn captures, then this pawn drops off the board, plus there's some nasty checks on the way. And if this pawn takes, as played in the game, then of course you can play this move, Faustino nudging back. with queen to f3. The d pawn under fire. There's no ability to protect it with the knight, of course. This one's such an annoying forward pawn, and so that's why we see queen b5 covering. But now guess what? e6 on the board, an absolute dagger in the throat there, coming down the board fast, hitting two squares. Now we see takes and the knight captures. Hikaru under the cosh here, Faustino up in his grill. The rook wants to get out the forking way, come to f6, but then you drop this one. So Hikaru swaps first, rook recaptures, rook f6 now played, and knight c7 hits the lady. Queen a5, the preferred move of Stock Squid, but not played. Instead, Hikaru takes on b2. So natural, the counterplay move, but bang, you get this check on d5. The knight is collapsing unless you go rook f7, played of course, and now we get knight e6. Just the simplicity of this attack is absolutely beautiful from a 10-year-old. The rook slamming down here, all the pieces partying, so queen b5 is necessary. You have to try and get that queen off the board. We see check from c8. And now you have to block with the knight. If you go king h7, well, wallop. The knight jumps to g5 with check. The rook's collapsing here. You know, this is leading to a forced mate very, very fast. So running back after this check, knight f8 played. No mate, they say, but I'm not so sure here, or they say even. Now we see he takes on b5 though. Oro abandoning the attack, but absolutely correctly, because after pawn recaptures, what do we see on the board? d5. Once again, a passed d pawn running, just like the last game I covered the other day here. I'll link that at the end. You've got to check it out if you haven't seen it. And the big problem is bishop c5 is on the way. So f4 played by Hikaru, a kind of randomizer, you know, running it back. What does the engine want? b6 to stop the bishop coming here, but then of course you could take the pawn. Okay, this was played. Bishop c5 comes, Oro not getting distracted, and rook f5. Hikaru just shuffling, pressuring the pawn, yes, but the moment you take it, a piece collapse. What to do? And now this is again just simple stuff, tactics. Bishop takes on f8 played. If rook recaptures, knight takes. So we see bishop takes back instead, and this is the point. The d pawn running down the board here. If the rook comes behind, you drop a piece. So king f7 played. But still, you drop a piece. There's no way to actually stave off this wonderful pawn. The rook comes behind it here. It pushes to d7 and it forces resignation from Hikaru Nakamura. If he goes king e7 here, well, there's many good moves, right? But you can actually check from here, drive the king back away, then make the queen. Of course, this is completely lost. This the final position, 35 move, crush. Who is this kid? The Mask of Oro. Kramnik was on looking at this point. He proceeded to do this.
Okay, let's do the procedure. Block. This is first what I do.
But what a testament to the incredible ability of this young man. How far can he go? And for another game between him and Hikaru, have a look at the video on screen. Thanks very much for watching and see you soon.